Here's the rack from the deer that I shot, 28 inches. This is kind of a good deer for this because the antlers aren't quite symmetrical at all. Your eyes stick out too far and it looks like your deer got kicked in the nuts. Taxidermy is Bondo and Bondo is taxidermy. Hopefully now you'll have some of the tools that took me years to acquire to mount your own critters. What is up, everybody, and welcome back to my channel. This is the series on how to mount a whitetail deer. This video is number 10 in the series. It's basically extra fine details and as the skin dries, what to look for and how to make sure everything dries into place. Now, when I last left this was last night, and I wasn't super happy with the moisture that was around the earbuds and the eyes and some of the facial features. So I took a bag, put it over the top of his face, and I have it pinned in the back. I haven't taken it off to look yet. It's been sitting here for 24 hours. Normally I would just do this in the morning right away, but with a family and a day job, I'm getting to it now. So let's take this off and see what we got. Now it's nice at this point because we're getting awfully close to, you know, putting them back on the wall and showing them off. So I can throw my bag because we don't need that. See, you can see here in this view, that's just a bunch of skin that needs to be put into place. And I just wasn't happy with how it was. I was just fighting it. And I know from experience, if I just leave it a day, normally it tacks up really nice and you can do everything the next day. So let's just start with our eye work and then we'll move our way to the rest of it. Oh yeah, everything is still really wet in here. I mean, you can see the ears moving, everything's good, but I mean, we're tacking up. So let's start with the eyeballs. Because I'm not super happy with the shape of it, with where I left the clay before I put the skin on. Now that the skin's on, it just looks a little different. Let's start by getting this. Some of this needs to just be moved in. This eyelet was trouble. There's a pin there I was able to push. Like I've stressed this whole time, it's all about transitions. Okay, now I can, remember I left that little bit of clay, so I can kind of maneuver this a little bit. And then that's the wrong tool for that. Let's use this tool. You can see how much it's moving. This is one of those areas you want to check this as it dries and make sure this stays closed, because it will want to open up. And I prefer mine to not have that open. I know in some reference photos you'll see it open. I don't like it open. To me, it just looks lazy. Okay, there's some glue and some bubbles here. I can see it as I push it. Now the lower lids aren't super troublesome. I gotta kind of adjust them a little bit. But my main issue was right here on the top of his eye. I like that to be a little bit more open. bag kind of pulled on my deer's nose here. I liked it to be a little more open. So I'm gonna push some of this, and a lot of this I think is glue on top of the clay. So we're gonna push that. Okay, now we gotta open that sucker up because it's yeah, it's still really wet. The bag trick is nice because it, you know, if you're tired like I was last night and you're just fighting it, just put a bag on it, come back later. Now I leave this without clay on it on purpose so that I can push this into position. I just put clay on that upper lid. Okay, that upper lid's looking much nicer. Now we can adjust the bottom one. Like I said, it's a straight line from here to there. And then this just dips down ever so slightly. I don't know if you remember what this was doing last night when I was pushing on it, but it was kind of going all over the place. And today, there's none of that. A little bit with the upper lid. But this lower lid, I just moved it a little bit and it just stays right in. We'll close it a little, keep those lashes in the right spot. Close the eye a little bit in the back. Okay. Now, well, that's looking much nicer. Tuck that skin a little bit more. Pull those lashes down a little. That's just really nice. Okay, now let's fix this ear because we're over here. And like we talked about yesterday, this muscle comes right off of the back of the skull and into the ear butt here. Still fighting this side a little bit. Could use like another 1/2 inch of clay. But we're in a spot where we can't do that. So we'll just pull that skin up a little bit. Pull this skin over. There we go. Much nicer. Okay, now we'll get the top of this ear into a better position. We can add some wrinkles in here because that skin wrinkles anyhow. I like that ear much better. And we'll transition that hair pulled into place. Get this there. Now just work your clay into the top, like into your ear here. Get that a nice transition. You can add some wrinkles into the skin there. And then I'm gonna come up behind the skull, really lock in the skin up here, and then transition that off of the skull plate through the ear butt clay and then to the ear. And I make sure the back of this is nice and smooth as well, in case anyone wants to take a peek on the backside. And I kind of build that lower muscle here that goes into side of the neck. Take this little bubble, work it towards the back, and eventually we'll work all those bubbles down the back. Nothing there, that feels good, that's good. Okay, there's one ear. Let's just stick on ears for a little bit, but we got that eye done for now. Well, what do we got for time here? 14 minutes. I'm just gonna set cut my finger. So here's where you put your little eye groove in. There's kind of like already a line here in the skin that shows me where to go. So I just start in here, and then you'll come around. Still pretty gooey, you can see that. And it starts off deeper in here, and then it gets less as you go towards the back of the eyeball. Now it's still really gooey. Maybe I should have waited a little bit, but I'll just monitor that as it dries. But we're good to go there. Okay. Do the other side. I'm gonna move this camera and we'll just do the other side. We'll just start with this ear butt. See, there's far less problem. I got a little more clay in this one. Or the skin's just less wet. I can feel that it's not as moist on this side. So basically I'm just pulling hide up over my ear butt onto the clay. We'll come from the front here, get kind of a perspective of the other ear butt. We'll just kind of do this ear slightly more forward than the other one. Like I said, I don't do ears forward look. I don't like it. Maybe one day I'll do the like complete ears forward straight mount or something. I think that would be the only time I would do it. Other than that, I'm just not a fan. I would do that for like an old-timey, this is a bar, or that kind of look where it's by design to look like that. Adding some wrinkles in here. Now I'm not putting wrinkles in the clay, I'm more so putting wrinkles in my skin because I have the skin to do it. Okay. And work that clay from the top of the skull over the ear. There's kind of one main dip on top here, and then this muscle attaches behind the pedicle. I want to make sure I have it close enough to the antler. And then we'll rebuild that muscle in here. Now it's locking in a little bit. We're locking in. Get that wrinkle. Bubble towards the back. We'll just put that ear right there for now as we work it all in place. Again, push that clay up into the burr. Get that sitting right. Give it a look from the front. And I'm looking at, is that ear butt on both sides level with the eyeball? You can hopefully see it from back there. That's what I'm looking at. Is it even? And I'll show a close-up as we get done here. It's looking good. Come back here. Add one wrinkle in the back of the skin here. Okay. Now, make sure that's tucked in there. Nice. Same thing on this side, you're going to want to monitor this. I'm going to pull some of this clay down because this rolls into there. Then I'm going to pull it back, the clay and glue that's in there. Okay, that looks nice. The same thing here, we'll just get a feel for where the glue's at and just push it back. Push that up. Remember, that's foam, there's no clay there, so I can push as hard as I want on purpose, so I know that's where I like that piece of skin to go. Same thing here, we just start rolling. There's clay and glue in here. Just kind of matching the eye shape for the other side. You'll see I'm doing kind of different techniques with my fingers. Sometimes I'm just pushing. Sometimes I'm pulling down while I push. Sometimes I'm grabbing skin and pushing up into the eye. It's all practice, learn things. I could use this tool, I suppose. Gotta bring that eye up a little bit. There we go. Now we're getting her done. Of course, I had my freaking head in there the whole time. Just trying to see what I'm doing. And then as you're doing the eyes, watch that lower lid. Keep them as symmetrical as you can. Also, watch your upper lid, also keeping that symmetrical, but also trying to keep the same distance, of clay. Between the glass and the eyelashes. And then keep your eyelashes symmetrical. They don't go straight out, they kind of turn down a little bit at the eye, like a 45-degree angle. And that just looks great. It looks beautiful. It just looks beautiful. So these whiskers up on top here. Kind of give them a pull forward and out. Sometimes they come out in the tanning process or the skinning process, but if you have them on there, just kind of adds a little to your mount. So pull all those whiskers out best you can. That one wasn't coming out because the skin had it pinched. There we go. Then I just work those forward and out. And with those. Okay. Push all my hair down into the position on top. Eye looks pretty good to the other side, so we'll put in the I can see where it was before. I have it a little lower than that, and when I paint it, you won't tell where that is. Just keep it even with the other side. As far as, distance between your lashes and where you're doing it. That looks really nice. Again, my eyes need to be level. Keep your form as level as you can. That'll help. Cool. So now essentially all that we have left is to be sure that all the details are in from what we did yesterday. Now we can kind of finish the nose. Like I said yesterday, is this nose has, you know, more texture on it. It's not just flat. So I'm gonna work like a little low spot here in my nose, just to kind of give my nose a little more shape. Like look at any critter's nose, it's not flat. Okay, so that's shape. Then I'm gonna kind of push the clay up around the bottom of this nose pad and use my thumbnail to kind of create a little bit of a ridge between the hair. You can feel it, it just feels nicer. A little bit of a ridge between the hair and the nose pad. Just kind of stick it out a little bit. Give it a little extra texture. Okay, that looks nice. A little bit more in that center. Then I'm gonna take and kind of put a little bit of pressure into the middle of the nose pad. You'll see where the nodules kind of come together and have a little crease in the middle. Push that in, that looks nice. Now, essentially from here, you're just making it look pretty. So grab a brush, you know, work all the clay back or the glue back. Grab a brush. Mainly, you want to keep this nose hair centered up the nose ridge. And then you want to give the deer, I like to give the deer a really distinct like forehead. Spend some time on the forehead. I just think they look pretty when it's like you're giving them a hairdo. And the hair has a certain place to sit, so if it's not sitting right, the skin's in the wrong spot. Okay, so let's push here, make sure that skin's all the way down at my nostrils. Work around. There's kind of, you know, these built-in ridges in the form. This one's kind of smooth, but oftentimes, like the Mackenzies have huge ridges in here. If you like that look, make sure you push your skin in the place. Just getting this bubble out of here. Very nice. Just making everything transition nice and smooth. Do the other side here. That nostril. Again, if you have something that looks out of place for hair and it's not sitting right, like this does on this side, my best guess is that this deer took a tine to the side of the face. So I'm kind of pinching the hair to put hair where I want to keep it, to hide that a little. Got a little wrinkle down here in the corner of the mouth. Don't like that. So we'll work that a little bit. Don't like that at all. Now, over the next 3 or 4 days, I will monitor this deer to make sure everything is in the right spot and it is drying correctly. Check this, make sure that's centered. Yeah, I watched the eyelids and the duck there in the front of the eye. That's the main thing I watch, and I make sure that my ears aren't sliding one way or another. We don't want them doing that. But this is when I spend a little time with the deer's forehead. He's looking pretty good right here, but we'll, again, make sure the center line here straight. Now what I do is I kind of pull this down and forward, and then I push up on the corners here. And it just kind of makes the deer's forehead just pop a little bit. I like to get the hair kind of aligned in the right spot so that there's no... Sometimes it's easier with a pin. Just kind of fluff it and it'll set it into position. Then as it dries, it'll kind of fall down on itself a little bit. Same thing over here. But then what you do on one side, do to the other. And make him symmetrical. Now, I'm not going to go overboard on this thing's forehead because I might actually push this down a little bit. Just from when I shot him, he didn't quite have that big forehead full of hair. Either way you do it, it's fine. I just have the luxury of being the one to shoot him and having piles of photos of it. Give him a brush. Cool, he's missing some hair right here. So I'm gonna try and kind of move some around to kind of take less. I'm gonna have to play with that as it dries. I'm seeing now. But that's mainly it. So this is, he's done. He looks beautiful. Look at that. Oh, I gotta turn him this way. He looks great. Now this is, like I said, he's a monster of a deer as far as his neck is concerned. He's huge. But I'm gonna monitor this over the next few days. Paying close attention to the eyes, the duck, nose, this. Most of this won't move except for the eyes, but I'll pay attention to that. And that's it for mounting the deer. So I mean, it's been a pleasure for hanging out. I appreciate you guys watching. Hopefully what I'm doing is helping. Now I'm gonna let this sit for probably, I usually let it sit at least a week and a half. Sometimes I'll do it in a week if it's an early season or shorter haired deer. But I'm gonna probably wait 2 weeks on this. It's pretty wet down here yet. It's big hide, it's thick. Just probably let him sit for 2 weeks and dry before I show you the finishing work, and then we'll get around the eyes and the nose, and that's the next time you'll see him. He'll be dry and crispy and ready to finish. So thanks for following along.